up, and I'm certainly there.
Okay.
Glad to come on. Director Morrison?
Well, for those of you that I've spoken to, I just cannot tell you how grateful I am for Cal Fire paramedics for saving my life. Took me to the emergency room, and I'm here today just because of their actions. So I want to thank our Cal Fire team from the bottom of my heart. I was well enough to attend the crab feed on Saturday. Our table bought 2 cakes and helped contribute, I think, about $600 toward the safety equipment fund. And a good time was had by all. So thank you to the explorers.
Thank you. Yeah, I was at the crab feed, had a great time, and I was sitting at a different table, and I said, who is bidding that high on cakes? My goodness, and then I found out it was Holly and her table. You got it. It was, yeah. So that was my first crab feed. I really enjoyed that. Seeing the community, what a lot of people here. It was really wonderful. And then I had a great conversation with the director of Hands for Help. I had mentioned this before, which is a nonprofit in Sacramento assigned to El Dorado County to facilitate training for recovery efforts. And that's the best I can say. And I'm going to bring this up eventually in the Fire Emergency Committee, but it looks like there's opportunity for training individuals in our community to be prepared as, I think they're called emergency core volunteers, so that they can kind of be pre-trained to shepherd other people as to what to do in case there's a recovery effort. So she was really enthusiastic and wants connections up here in the county and is really excited to connect with us as a district. So I look forward to talking about this and discussing in emergency services, fire emergency services. That's it.
You can't go yet. I'm not good. Oh, I actually wanted to thank Jill and Holly for coming tonight because they're both. It's amazing that you guys are actually here. And I sure hope it's not catching because I don't want it.
And Jason Epperson threw his back out, so I think it's
yeah.
Through the wires.
Yes.
And then I enjoyed the crab feed as well. And I also wanted to thank staff. I think everybody's doing a fantastic job. I just feel like as we're moving forward together, and I really appreciate that. And I also wanted to request that, or suggest, if you are interested in the changing the burn days, that bring it up in committee and start there. And then, okay, Margaret.
There's no go back the next time, okay? So I want to say thank you to the fire department for the crab feed too. It was super fun, and I got the benefit of Farmers and Holly's cake. Audrey gave me a piece, and I appreciate that. I didn't know what the rest of it was. It was pretty. So, and then thanks to the explorers did a really great job, and I mean they really tried hard, and I thought that was really neat. And so, thank you for that. The one thing I wanted to make a comment about, and you may notice, is the sound system in this room. We just need to eventually in the future. It's just the audio needs to reverberate. I think we should look at that for the future. It would just be great.
Sound would be great.
And something that would help because it's very fun and active, but it's really hard to hear. And it's not because of anything, it's very, it's because of the audio. Director Scobie and I had a meeting with Chief of President Lori Harmon, and we had that the other day, and just to talk about the goals and objectives of the district and our challenges that we face and what we want to accomplish, and talk to them about how the county can help. It was a really great meeting. We really felt heard, and they really wanted to know more, and they made some good suggestions that Director Scobie and I will be talking to the general manager about, and everybody in the board here. And I think it's just a real start to a real county and CSD communication and collaboration. So we'll be reporting out more, but I think we're going to do it every quarter. We agreed, and everybody liked it, so that was a big step forward. I wanted to also let everybody know that here on the table is nominated the work plan, kind of a strategic plan at a glance. The work plan is our tactics to what we want to accomplish. The more that we focus on these, and the more we will be able to accomplish. If we get off focus and want to do other things, but we don't have a whole lot of time. And really, these are a lot of things we're doing here does match what we're doing here, which is safety and education for fire, trying to figure out how to reduce costs. We're trying to increase revenue. There's so many things, but just keep this in mind, planning for us to review. And then the strategic plan at a glance relates to this as well as the work plan. It is kind of outdated, so at some point we're going to need to look at it. And the tactics underneath each of the objectives are outdated. So okay, take a look, and we'll start addressing this probably in the future. But that's great. One thing that I wanted to say, and the last thing is that I had mentioned last meeting that the Red Cross is going to do a Salve alarm, which is installing the fire alarms in underserved. We were supposed to be in Cameron Park, and then it got canceled because of the campfire. This is supposed to be February 2, it's going to be in Rockland, but March 23rd in Placerville, we'll be doing installing fire alarms. So if anybody has a volunteer, let me know, and we're going to go Red Cross on the website. It's important, and I want to get them some back.
Yeah, they never made it to the senior bar.
No, they didn't. They didn't because the campfire happened that weekend,
That's right.
and they opened up there.
Well, are they coming back?
They are, and I'm going to try to figure out, I thought it was going to be March 23rd, but it's possible.
You let me know.
That would be great. Yeah, it's really great. If they install fire alarms, they have volunteers to do that. And that's it for general matters to and from. Let's talk about LAFCO and Holly.
So, these past LAFCO meetings was mostly general business. There was an election of officers, but the main item was the set time for the study session on the state of fire districts in the county and environment and alternative government models. The general manager attended, fire chief attended, and battalion chief went to the meeting as well. It's always beyond impressive to see fire representatives from the entire county in a room, and the work that needs to be done to try to figure out how we can best serve every resident in the county with the 14 different agencies that we have. So the work has begun. LAFCO has a big hand in it, which I'm really happy about, and it will continue with the help of the CAO and the various committees that are working toward bringing some organization to big problems the county faces.
Thank you. Committee reports, budget and admin.
I have a question. At the last meeting, when Holly wasn't here, we nominated her to be our representative, and we had some questions on whether she was going to be able to do that. Did we get those questions answered?
I think you're working with
Riley, right?
Yes, and I'm going to talk to Nikki tomorrow. She's in the office.
Okay.
So can you explain where we're at, because I think one of the questions is,
It's just basically updating my resume, if you will, the presentation that gets sent out to all special districts.
for the vote.
Which is what I submitted 4 years ago and was elected by the special districts. LAPCO is an interesting organization because I represent special districts, which is Elville, Cameron Park, Cemetery District, Fire District, any special districts. And then the other commissioners, there are 2 supervisors, and representatives from South Lake Tahoe and City of Placerville. So it's an interesting group that they represent the entirety of the county, depending on what your community, how your community is represented, if you will. So I'll submit the updated resume tomorrow.
We were concerned because you are 2 more years here, but the LAPCO is a 4-year commitment, and so we were concerned to make sure that we could still nominate you with that note. And that's okay?
Yeah, Vicki checked it out.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so budget and admin director, Debbie.
Okay.
Let me get my notes hold on. Okay, for budget and admin, I would like the board of directors to know that we had a very good discussion about capital generation plans. We discussed capital, what was that term, capital revenue generating. We talked about, we had our gentleman, and he just left. Mark Harris, he's not here. And we had a nice discussion with him regarding how we can improve revenues here. We talked about the endowments and other items. So we're going to continue that discussion in budget and admin, and hopefully over the next couple of months bring something forward to the board. So just letting you know. Let's see. We brought to you, the capital campaign, that's it. Yes. We also brought to you the budget calendar. It was in the staff report, but we did review that before it came in the staff report. It was under the conform agenda. Okay. And we actually got a status report on our budget plan of action for deficit spending that we're operating under right now that we had approved earlier. So we have an update on that, and we are proceeding pretty well on that. So that's pretty much anything, Margaret?
No, I think that the biggest thing about the committee was having Mark Harris talk about the capital plan and what choices that we may have to raise a substantial fund for the district. And he started with the endowment, and he talked about how the capital plan, unless you have something specific that you can really get the community behind, it's a really hard sell to do. And we may want to look at other options to raise more larger amounts of revenue. And I think it was sort of an awakening to say, okay, we just can't go out and ask the public for money, and we can't just get an endowment. And, we have to form a nonprofit if we want to do something. So it was a good, solid discussion that we really need to look at some other options, like big dollar options, like selling the property and solar.
You might want to identify Mr. Harris.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Harris is with the Cameron Park Community Foundation. Okay, fire and emergency services, that was, Holly was not there for this one.
Well, I'll report on the January 23rd meeting,
Okay.
because I was there for that, both listening and there for that. And we had expected, and the reason that the general manager scheduled that second meeting was we had anticipated a presentation on our Fire Safe Council. And unfortunately, Paul Gilchrist had found out about the national meeting and made a decision to attend that. So we did not speak to the Fire Safe Council report. We did not have that report. We would look forward to still having that. And so what we did then discuss was the burn day ordinance, and we had a very good meeting and conversation. I'm looking for our guy's name. Coburn. Mr. Coburn. If you don't remember. Burn day. Right? Coburn. You know, it sounds like he attended at the next meeting, and did we reiterate most of what? Okay, so you guys know Mr. Coburn, John Coburn, and his concept of allowing additional burn days. He had two options: allow outdoor burning in Cameron Park year-round, whenever fire and air quality restrictions permit, with the provision that the fire must be put out if the smoke from the fire is considered a nuisance by any neighbors. This is similar to the existing fire restrictions in Tuolumne County. And then the second option was each year, and that decision would be debatable. Who would make the decision? There would be an adjustment to the 2-week outdoor burn period to match current year fire and air quality conditions. This would eliminate the unburned outdoor materials that are carried over each period under the existing restrictions. In a dry spring, 2-week window could be moved up to March, and in the fall, the 2-week window could be moved into late November or early December. So those were his ideas that he presented and that we discussed and moved the conversation to the next regularly scheduled fire committee meeting, which was on February 12th.
And then we moved that forward to the next meeting to hear it today. And then the other discussion of the fire engine weed abatement. Now, what we did have a discussion with during that meeting was Chief Mike Smith shared with us a postcard that talks about improved lots and what you need to do in order to make a defensible space and, correct me if I'm wrong, a fire-safe landscape, more or less. And so we didn't get to see that at the fire committee. And do you happen to have that today? No. And so when do you plan on sending that out?
Can we give that gift back by Friday?
So in the next week or two? So the postcard that will go to every single house in the district, talking about how to make your house and your landscape fire safe. So that was discussed in the meeting, and also hiring for the improvement lot. And that Chief Smith, we talked about how we would move forward with the improved lot. It's really a lot of manpower to go to every single home. But the fire department and Chief Smith has identified certain areas. And I think we need to have further discussion on when those areas are addressed. Are we going to go with a complaint basis only, or is it going to be the next target area? So I think that's the next discussion point.
So I think with Audrey and leading that charge under Chief Smith's supervision, they'll bring the recommendation forward. They're very efficient, and I have 2 new people in there, so once Audrey and trained them.
So it was interesting that with the supervisor Shiva and Lauren, she was representing, we brought this up as a next step. And we said, wow, after taking on, right? So it's really important that I told them that basically the fire department has determined that there's areas that we focus on. I thought that was a good idea. Trying to take it all at once is probably not, and they were concerned about a fairness issue and how come they're being picked on, which you provided up to.
So we just need to be concerned about how we move forward from that. If there's any questions.
And I think the unapproved lots is the determination of the team of what properties would be targeted, that there wasn't any one that was better or worse, except it could be in an area that would burn more quickly because of the corner, because of open field, that kind of thing. And I think they'll use the same expression.
So we
for
probably,
the approved lot.
Yeah, we probably need to have that line just to make it clear for people who ask why. And that's just communication. And that's why I think the postcards are also really a good way to get the, I mean, believe it or not, people do read mail.
Yep.
Because you don't get it that much anymore in the postcard.
yeah,
Right. No, I like that.
I was wondering if it'd be useful for the community, now that we're doing our improved lots, weed abatement, if we had some sort of like fire safe workshop. And we would have CAL FIRE perhaps, or County Park Fire Department do a presentation, and we would explain those targeted areas and why, and then, we're unable to get to everybody, so we're going to start with those, try to keep those people safe in those areas that are higher risk, and then perhaps it would be well received and we get better compliance. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea. You could go right after the postcard goes out. I mean, they're soon enough.
Yeah, we haven't identified the high hazard target areas yet, this is work for the process for us, but I agree with doing that. We want to build out the webpage for the fire prevention that's on the district site, and with obviously working with probably Nikki and getting photos on and showing what a home defensive space looks like, and links on there, the ready, set, go, and all that stuff on the postcard, we're going to get on there with a click away, so people will go on the website. And then I agree with we have kind of a community thing, so hopefully we get people to come in and explain things more.
And we're going to have to decide is your budget, how to fund it.
Right.
Improve that program.
That was the report for fire. Ellie just walked out, I just skipped speaking there, so I'll get back to her. Parks and Recreation, Director Morrison.
So I was not in attendance, so that would be, Director Stewart.
yeah, this isn't my job, this was Holly's job, but she was busy battling bacteria. Okay, so, for Parks and Rec, we had a very nice presentation from El Dorado Hills. We went over the Bass Lake project, and they brought in a map, and they brought in a bunch of ideas. It's very, very preliminary, but they are reaching out to all the neighbors, organizations, and agencies to get some input. And it was very interesting, and they were just soliciting input, and we took some time to talk about it, and they're talking about access and the various agencies in the process. So it's 10 years out, they're still trying to secure properties and so forth, but they're very open to any ideas, and if you want to talk to them, you should do so.
This wasn't on the agenda?
Yes, it was item 1 on the very bottom of the page, kind of.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. And we spent some time on that. That was really neat to see what they're doing. We brought to you the T-ball field that came out of committee, and Mike Graffel gave us this amazing PowerPoint presentation of all the work Parks and Rec is doing to bring our district properties into compliance with our weed abatement ordinance. And so he put up all of our properties and talking about the various approaches he's taken to manage them, and it is extremely ambitious. So hopefully we'll get that. He'll be providing updates on that. He's very, as I said, ambitious. So you can look forward to seeing that happening. Looks like we're going to be putting in some signage at County Park Lake regarding cleaning up and cleaning up after your fishing line and any other litter you might have. And that's pretty much how we're covering it. And the other day, we did something.
Would Ellie, Director, would you talk about
About what?
your committee report for CCNR?
I already did it.
Okay. You did that under.
I don't have to make this one over yet.
Okay. Okay. So, Solar Energy Ad Hoc Committee, Director Scoop.
Well, Glenn is here, if he'd like to report out. That's why I'm here. No?
Why don't you go, do you want to go, can you stand up and introduce yourself for the board and then talk a little bit about?
Well, you don't have to, Glenn. It was just
You do.
I want to
Okay, come on up. You already stood up once.
Would you like the agenda?
Well,
I've got to say something to Mike about the ball field. The ball field looks like it favors left-handed batters, and it's very easy on center field, but not. That's all that fits.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, my name is Glenn Ramback. Been involved in alternative energy for about 40 years. Worked in the Department of Energy. I review a lot of the programs that go back every year. Spent a career at Livermore Lab on alternative energies. I had some comments on climate change too, and the problem it creates with rule makers trying to make rules based on schedules. And climate is an averaging thing. Weather is a not averaging thing. And when you look at November versus December, this December could be like a 1960s December, or it could be like a 2030s December. You don't know until you're there. So that kind of forces rulemakers to need to put strategies in until those averages become real over the next several decades. Because right now we're in really a period where it's very hard to predict. You can't predict climate, but it's also very hard to predict the steady state climate year over year for another few decades. In any event, that's solar related.
Yeah.
It is energy. Were you going to say anything?
No, I was just giving you the opportunity to share since I've already been to before.
So what we'd like to hear is what you have done in the Solar Ad Hoc Committee and what.
Yeah, we had 3 meetings. We had, the meeting was first called to order on, was it January 28th, I think. And we discussed what the committee was about, trying to put together plans and look at things that we needed to understand to see how solar or energy strategies for Cameron Park, alternative energy strategies, could save money. And I've been in solar since the 70s, solar and wind and renewables, and that's when wind power was $1.50 a kilowatt hour, and solar was $2.50 a kilowatt hour, and now they're 3 cents and 5 cents, and competitive with everything else. Now that means that with the advent of the new and advanced technologies that are commercial and financing abilities, once the technology, financing, and installers got together to then share the benefit of installing something that's very expensive to install over a period of time, and share that benefit with the user. That's why solar is really cost effective and spreading all over the place. One of the key things we did, 2 key things, was we last week, 2 weeks ago, Mike Grassley took us around. The committee members are, I want to make sure I get this right, Director Moore, Director Scobie, Dan Enright, who's, I guess he's not from Cameron Park, right?
Yes, he is.
He is? Oh, okay. He's a guy from the Elks Club,
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
Elks, and they installed a system. So he was very helpful. Eric Aston.
Eric, you're right here.
You're Eric. Well, Director Ritzman and Mike Bradley's been phenomenal, of course. Mike took us around to all of the facilities 2 weeks ago. It was Director Scobie, myself, and Dan, and that was quite an eye-opener. We did go to both 88 and 89. We noticed that both sites have very forward-thinking and helpful people who've already done a lot of work in doing on the demand side, solving demand side problems, reducing consumption, a lot of LED lights installed and things like that where incandescents were. We need to do that here too, not only to save electricity, but also LED lights now are much more reliable than they've been in the recent past, so you can save a lot of money in terms of maintenance costs. We looked over this building extensively, this whole site, and we looked over the 2 fireplaces and the lake, and there was obviously a lot of things we think can be done. We're going to report up. We're going to have a meeting next month, I think March 7th, to talk that through. I think there's one thing, let's see, we'll discuss next steps, funding options, a possible scope and schedule for a project. Next day after tomorrow, Friday, we're going to meet at Eldorado Hills. Eldorado Hills did a lot of installation of solar to their financial benefit, and we're going to take a look at that. We're going to help them, help us understand how to go about that, and that's going to take us a long ways. One thing that Mike discovered was a report that was done, is it 2 years ago or 1 year? 1 year ago.
February of 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
It's a full report to Cameron Park that looked at all of our facilities and estimated the kind of installations to be done. I have a couple of pictures I brought. I didn't bring the whole report, but shows solar next to the pool and next to this building, and solar at the 2 fire stations, and then the related cost savings year over year, and how that would pay out over time over the next 20 years. So that's about it. Can't wait for that meeting.
Thank you. That was very, very informative. Okay, is there any questions from anybody? Sounds like a report. All right, is there anything else for the directors? And if there isn't, then we will adjourn this meeting at 9:10. Thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned.
you have something? Okay, hello, are we ready? Director, ready? Great, well, let's bring the meeting to order of the Cameron Park Community Service District Board meeting for Wednesday, March 20th, and let's have the roll call.
Director Moore?
Here.
Director Stoughton?
Here.
Director Wooten?
Here.
Director Morrison? Here.
Can we please
No,
join?
I didn't forget, I have that there. Director Cross? Here.
Thank you. Can we please join Director Wooten in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, adoption of the agenda, please. Any conversation about the agenda and some motion for adoption?
Move to adopt with one change. I'm sorry, I don't have my one. To move the grant information topic up, so that Mr. Wilcox will be able to participate.
Okay, so that would be item number 14, and you want to move it to before, after 10? Or before 10?
Whenever we can begin.
Okay, we'll move it to before 10. So we'll move item 14
Before consent agenda,
before the consent item.
after the presentation.
After the presentation.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Otherwise, I move to approve the agenda with the one change.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thanks, so moved. Adoption agenda with that change. Now is the time for recognition and presentation. And also, welcome everybody. It was really nice to hear all the chatter in the room and conversation. I didn't want it to stop, but we had to start getting our business going. So let's talk to the County Planning and Building Department update, the first presentation. Yep. Who's that? Hi. From Ida. Jill, do you want to do a preview?
Well, I will introduce Tiffany, and then make sure that I have your name right. Schmidt. I thought it was a D, I didn't want to do it. It's a D in there, so. Tiffany Schmidt is the Director of Planning for the County of Sacramento, and they're going to talk with us today about land use planning in Cameron Park area and how that all works.
Where would you like me to stand?
Right over there.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, thank you. I'm Tiffany Schmidt with the County of El Dorado. I'm the Director of the Planning, Building, Economic Development, and Code Enforcement Department. My presentation is very brief. I wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to introduce you to a couple of my staff members and just make a general statement that the department is in, with my new appointment, the department is in, we're like on a roadshow, I guess is what I feel like. We're really trying to open our doors, be more transparent. We know that a lot of decisions and projects are brought through our department that ultimately get decided by either the planning commissioners, board of supervisors that might have an effect on your community. And we are making a great effort to engage our public, our board-appointed commissions and committees, and also our shared government agencies. So we're just out there. We want to, know our faces. I want you to know all of my planners. I want us to be accessible, open dialogue, and so that we're bringing forward the best projects that we can for the county and each community. So I brought with me Ann Novotny, who is the Deputy Director of Planning, and she's going to give a real brief talk. And then we've also brought with us Jean Warner, who is an analyst in our planning department, who's overseeing a project that might be of interest to some of you. So I'm happy to answer any questions too, specific to me, but I'd like to have my staff.
So can you give us an overview of what your jurisdiction is and what is that something that everybody here already knows?
Yeah, maybe not.
You know?
So we're county department, so the El Dorado
The remainder of the county is unincorporated, so the entire county is about 186,000 people, and the vast majority of those residents live in that unincorporated area of the county. So that is the jurisdiction that we oversee. So that includes Tahoe, but we have a lot of oversight, of course, with TRPA, so there's a set of regulations there. So we like to make a difference between what we call East Slope, which would be the Tahoe area, and the West Slope, which is everything from the summit down to the west, so all the way to El Dorado Hill. I'm really happy to answer any.
Well, then, what kind of projects do you oversee?
We oversee, so we are responsible for the oversight of all land use projects that come through. So those can be both county-initiated projects and those can be applicant-initiated projects. For the most part, they are applicant-initiated projects, so whether it is something as simple as a boundary line adjustment, say you and your neighbor have an agreement and you want to move your line of your property over 5, 10, 15 feet, everything to large, what we call, tentative subdivision maps, or even on a larger scale, specific plans. And you may know that we have a few specific plans that are in process through the county right now, one of which, they're all in the El Dorado Hills area, although Lime Rock does encompass part of Cameron Park. And I think the important distinction there to make is that these are applicant-initiated projects. Applicants have the right to ask the county to do something on their land, and we, as county government, are required to process it, and then we bring those projects forward to our decision makers, whether they're the zoning administrators, the planning commission, or ultimately the board of supervisors, to make a decision, policy-level decisions on those types of projects. And then everything in between, design review, which we'll get into a little bit today. There's conditional use permits. Say someone wants to do something on their property that's a little different than what's otherwise allowed by right in the zoning ordinance. There's a process by which they can do that. We're now processing vacation home rentals. And then also in my department, we have building, of course, which is the section that actually issues the building permit once all that upfront planning occurs. All the way to code enforcement, economic development. Okay, yeah, thank you.
We'll take questions later too, so
Oh,
if you want to finish your presentation, then we'll take questions after.
okay. And so bye.
Well, Anne is walking up. I just want to acknowledge that Anne was very helpful with us in getting our T-ball field out at Rasmussen in the queue. So anyway, we're working with her and she's great.
Well, and we also have one of my staff as well, Paulina, that's working really closely on that. So anyway, we're really looking forward to it and meeting you. So, as Tiffany mentioned, I'm the Deputy Director of Planning, and we're kind of revamping the whole planning and building department. We both have had other county jobs prior to this, but in September, the former planning and building director retired after 28 years. That was Roger Trout, and so some actual recruitment went out to actually fill not only his position, but create this new position, Deputy Director of Planning. And so both Tiffany and I kind of came on board, went through the whole recruitment process, and we're offered positions in the October timeframe. So we've really only been in our positions about 5 months. We've been doing a lot of staffing up within our departments and kind of putting people, not just butts in seats, but people in the right seats. So we're really looking at making sure that people are maximizing their talents and skills. And so one of the things, so I actually oversee the current planning functions and the long-range planning functions. And what that entails, as Tiffany touched upon, in current planning, we have what's called the permit center. They primarily deal with people coming in the front counter with questions, more ministerial type questions where things don't have to go through a review process that Tiffany mentioned. We also have a unit that's discretionary projects, and those are the ones that do have to either go through a zoning administrator review, then up to the planning commission, and sometimes the board of supervisors. And then we have 3 units in that. We also have long-range planning, which is
we deal more with the long-range planning unit, looks more at the general plan and what hasn't been implemented, and so we do, every year, long-range planning looks at what hasn't been implemented in the general plan, and then the report to the board. Long-range planning also is responsible for implementing ordinances that haven't been implemented, and also tweaking ones. So, for example, in 2015, we did a major overhaul of our zoning ordinance, and at this time, we're actually doing some tweaks to that. And so we did a round of kind of minor cleanups to the zoning ordinance, and now we're going to do some major cleanups. And then another aspect that we're working on is we do some community planning efforts. And one of the ones that we're working on now has to do with coming up with developing community design standards for commercial and multifamily in the community regions. And so some of you may not know, but in our general plan, we actually have defined 4 community regions, one of which is Cameron Park, El Dorado Hills, Shingle Springs, and then the combined towns of El Dorado and Diamond Springs. And so what we're working on is we actually are getting ready to kick off this effort with the help of a consultant, the De Novo Planning Group, and they're out of El Dorado Hills. And so I'd like to have Jean Warner, because she's going to be our project manager for this, and our community liaison, and she's also going to be managing the consultant contract. I'd like to invite Jean up here to kind of give you an overview of that effort.
Well, thank you for giving us the forum to talk about our new project. We're really excited about moving forward with this, and we're hoping to begin in April, in next month. We're negotiating a contract right now. We're excited about our consultant, the Novo Planning Group, and they're really looking forward to this project as well. The contract will consist of 4 components. One will be project initiation, community assessment, and project management. Component 2 will be the environmental review for the project, and component 3 will be the development of the design guidelines and standards for Shingle Springs. Component 4 will be the development of the design guidelines and standards for Cameron Park, El Dorado Hills, and Diamond Springs, El Dorado. One of the first things that we'll do on the kickoff of the project is recruit community members, residents, and business owners to participate in community advisory teams. So we will have an application process for that and let everyone know that this is coming. But everyone is welcome to apply for that, and if anyone who would like to have an input on these guidelines that we're developing. And then once the design standards and guidelines are developed, we will present them to our board of supervisors for adoption. And once that is done, they'll streamline the process for future new commercial and multifamily residential development. So we expect this effort to take 2 to 3 years to complete. But once it's done, we're hoping that it'll really make an improvement in all of our community regions. So I did bring some fact sheets that talk about the project, the description and the background, and why we're doing it and so on. And my contact information is on these. So I guess we'll put them back at the back table for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions right now that you'd like to ask? Yeah, I have one question. It's actually not related so much to the design review. I just know that there's been a lot of work done to look at the Cameron Park Drive exit off 50. And I'm just wondering if one of you could give us a little update on what's going on with that.
We'll have our DOT staff come next time. So that's a Department of Transportation project that is separate. But I do know that they had conducted it's a very expensive project that's in the county's capital improvement program. And they did conduct a study. They contracted with an outside consultant to develop alternatives for that interchange to try and find a less expensive alternative. But beyond that, I'm sorry, I don't have any other details. I can gladly give you the director of DOT's contact information and reach out to him.
Thank you.
Yes. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So you're, what is the name of the committee, the local community committee that you're establishing?
They're called just the Technical Advisory Committee, right? Did I put on the Community Advisory Committee, the CAC? Yeah. Community Advisory Committee.
Okay. And so that's going to be focusing on commercial and multifamily, which is different than Cameron Park Design Review Committee, or perhaps you can speak to what the differences between the two committees will be.
Do you want to speak to that, Jean, or, I mean, I can look at it, if you guys know better.
So for this effort, the community advisory teams are just going to be working with the consultant and the county staff to help guide what Cameron Park would like to see in terms of different features, design features, for just strictly commercial multifamily zone in Cameron Park, or actually the 4 other regions, so in your aspect. So basically, what will happen as the result is, once we get these design guidelines and standards, and the more they can be standards, is projects that would come forward would not need to go through the design review, because as long as they're complying with the standards that are adopted, then those projects can be more streamlined, as Tiffany mentioned earlier, and not have to go through a design review process, as long as they're meeting those standards. So that actually this committee is only going to be a short-term effort, only going to be working with the consultant during the time period of this particular project. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and then there'll be opportunities to update that when those standards are developed.
Update the standards, or, I mean, the standards could be looked at down the road, but we're hoping that with this effort, that it would be pretty well established and going through the whole process.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Director Wooten?
It's unreal. I'm sorry. I was wondering if part of this will be going up Starbucks about, I think, less than a half a mile. There was a project in the works that was coming to Cameron Park's area.
Kind of like a specific project or a site?
There'll be a project and roads.
You're talking about the project that's already being planned right behind Rite Aid there?
That's the one, yes.
Okay, that one's already in the works now, that's an actual, it's a single-family development, it will be subject to these standards, my understanding.
It was my understanding there would be some single family and some multiple.
As a matter of process, if we have existing projects that are working through the queue, they wouldn't necessarily be subject to these guidelines, because the guidelines aren't adopted yet. And so that, yeah.
Thank you.
So I have a question. You said that there is phases in this project. There's 4 phases, is that what you said? And what were those 4 again?
It's 4 components, and then the first one is the project initiation, and then the community assessment, which involves touring all the communities, and that component also includes the project management. Then the second component is the environmental review for the entire project, and then the third and fourth components are the actual development of the design guidelines and standards.
And for all the 4 regions that you mentioned?
Yes. Yes.
And this is something that's being funded obviously by the county, correct? Is that different than the same Shingle Springs project that they're doing to also do design standards, or is it the same?
It's the same project.
So, but it's for all 4 regions, because I thought, it's my understanding Shingle Springs was going to be the first.
Yes.
And then after that, to go next.
Yes. the three will, the Cameron Park, El Dorado Hills, and Diamond Springs, El Dorado Hills will be conducted together, but each community will have its own community advisory. So each group will be involved individually and have input into their own guidance and standards.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll take, if there are any questions from the board,
I'd just like to make a comment, having worked with the planning department over the last few years, it's very exciting to see so many women having been elevated. That's a big change. I'm sure it's a big culture change up in the county as well. So just wanted to congratulate you. And we all look forward to working with you, making Cameron Park that facility.
as you can probably tell, you're a very supportive board here. We would like to take questions from the public.
Yes. Did you say that you were also part of code enforcement?
We have code enforcement in our department, yes.
Okay. To date, my knowledge is that you have one code enforcement officer for the entire county, and you said you were staffing up.
Yes. We currently have 2 code enforcement officers for the county, but one of the first things that I did was to ask the board for 2 additional staff, which they approved in November. And I have offers of employment out to 2 people that should be starting in 2 weeks. So we will go up to 4 code enforcement officers, plus and then also a supervising code enforcement officer, so there's really 5. And then they have 2 support staff. So we have significantly increased our code enforcement with the intent of starting to have a more proactive approach to code enforcement, as directed by our board of supervisors. Yes.
I am curious about this. Is the code enforcement, your staffing up, that's excellent. I know this is just going to be more than just fences. Are you also going to be doing code enforcement on the weed abatement? The weed abatement that the county is working on with CAL FIRE?
The vegetation management? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the vegetation management is currently under review. It's up at our CAO's office. So the way government policy works, you have the development of the policy up at the CAO's office, and as they work toward implementation, it gets kind of pushed down into the department to implement. So they're still in the policy development phase of that vegetation management, which is part of code enforcement, but I'm not sure that it's going to end up in code enforcement. We're working with the fire district on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Who else has a question? Dave?
Yeah, no. I guess with all marijuana that's going to be growing here in El Dorado County, you're going to need a big code enforcement staff to take care of that, but that's not my question. Is it your department that would ultimately have the sign ordinance enforcement?
Yes.
That be also?
Yes, and we share that responsibility with environmental management, DOT, and planning, the actual enforcement of it, depending on where the signs are located.
So what about signs that would be located right along the Highway 50 corridor?
That are outside of Caltrans right away?
They're not on Caltrans right away, no. But obviously, they're very visible from the freeway.
Those, I would have to know the exact specifics of it, but that might be in DOT's shop, is what that sounds like. I can get you, we can talk afterwards, or maybe if there's a specific sign that you're thinking of?
Well, you could probably maybe talk to the director more if he has
Okay.
some ideas about it.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions? I do have a question. Are you responsible for the gas station on Cambridge that is taking 2 years to build?
Responsible how?
To get it either finished or something to go with it? Does it change off and with big sign on it?
I don't know, I mean, obviously it's in the building permit phase, right? Construction's underway, and it just hasn't yet been completed. I feel like I need to,
You might want to take a look at it, because I'm questionable in what's happening with it, because it looks like it's up for sale, it's not completed, and the construction's not completed. So it's hard to tell, but it started a long time ago. And then that also, I'd be curious to know what the situation is with the traffic at that point, if it does get open, because the gas station and traffic from the highway is going to make that intersection change.
Well, yeah,
quite a bit. But if we could find out about that, it'd be great to let people know, because people drive by, and people are, the big joke is that you go out and see your
and a lot of that might have been developer related, but who should we correspond with? Okay.
I'm writing it.
Is there any other questions? Thank you so much for your presentation. We appreciate the time. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have another presentation today, and that's with Eldorado Local Waste Connection.
Okay. Our friend Jeff Bingo.
Yep, you're right.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Board, for the opportunity to present tonight. We're here to speak about the state of recycling. Our goal tonight is to educate. This is a step in a process of a conversation that we'll be having with all of our jurisdictions on the western slope of El Dorado County about the state of recycling. Nothing less than a paradigm shift has occurred in the world of recycling, and it's important that we all understand that. Our goal tonight, again, is to share a PowerPoint presentation, an abbreviated version that we've shared with the El Dorado County Chamber and a variety of service groups in our outreach effort to get the word out there about how things have changed there. To that end, we have with us tonight our sustainability coordinator, Sarah Guerra, and our MRF transfer station manager, Rick Ball, who are really our most expert folks on what's occurring in recycling world. Again, this is part of the process. We will be back on April the 2nd to meet with the Budget and Finance Committee, and then we'll be back again on April the 17th to present and answer more questions for the board. We'll do our presentation tonight. We're very happy to answer any questions that you folks might have, and we look forward to this ongoing conversation. My last point to say is this is important for a couple of reasons. One is that recycling is the right thing to do for a multitude of reasons, but despite the obstacles that are now presented before us, the state of California marches forward with its goal of achieving 75% diversion by 2020. And that's a vote we all share. And that it's important that we work collaboratively to reach that goal. And so we're very happy to share the why behind some of the changes that are occurring, how we intend to approach it, and how we can teamwork this. Thank you. Sarah, great?
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Byra. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator at Eldorado Disposal. Thanks, Jeff, for the introduction. If you wouldn't mind moving to the next slide. So today we're going to, our plan is to kind of illuminate the world of recycling. Most people I encounter in my role as an environmental educator put stuff in the bin, it disappears, and then there's not a lot of thought that goes into about what happens afterwards. So we're going to talk about kind of what happens after you put something in the bin, why we have the systems in place, and also talk about our challenges. So why do we have the recycling system that we have today, which is a single stream system? You have your cart at your house where you put all the different types of materials in the bin. That's your paper, your plastic, your glass. And the reason why we operate in the single stream system is because it's a great way to capture recycling volume. Back when recycling started, we were doing a system called source separation, which means we were, piling up our newspapers, we had our glass in a separate pile, our cans, our paper, etc. But when we switched to the single stream system where we gave everyone in the community a cart and asked everyone to put all the items into the bin, the volume of the material skyrocketed, which was a really positive thing when we had markets available to sell the material. So this really brought forward the growth and expansion of curbside recycling programs in El Dorado County and in Cameron Park. Go to the next slide, please. So we're going to talk today about the two things that have occurred simultaneously in the recycling world. So one is the limited market. So like I said, with the growth of recycling,
part of the reason why we had these program expansions, really capturing the volume of recyclables, is because we did have plentiful markets, particularly in China with the growth of China's economy. They were really hungry for material. In the 2000s, China was also building up for the Beijing Olympics. So there's a lot of kind of socio-political things happening that made China the ideal market to sell recyclables to. For a long time, we've had this really great harmony of, China was producing the materials that we buy and use every day. They were on container ships arriving for us to buy, and then instead of sending container ships back empty, we were filling those up with recyclables to be remade back into new products. So we've had some change in the markets with China. Also occurring at the same time, we've had a really dramatic change in the waste stream. So the items that, I guess, can everyone raise your hand if you buy an item now that's sold in plastic, but maybe 10 or 15 years ago it was sold in glass? Can you think of something? Yeah. Milk comes to mind mostly for people. So there's been a dramatic change in the types of materials that we are handling. Next slide, please. So I'd like to introduce Rick to talk. Oh, okay. Well, can you talk about great, so I'll talk about, thanks, Rick. I'll continue to talk about kind of the recent history of our recycling markets. So like I mentioned, we've had the rise of recycling in the 90s and the 2000s, and during this time, China became the world's largest processor for recyclables, really accepting about half of the world's paper and plastic. It was also during this time that El Dorado and California announced our 75% diversion goal, which means that we are moving material away from the landfill. So this goal is set, we're shooting for 75% in 2020, which is, as we all know, next year. So we were, pursuing these recycling goals. We have these great markets in China. In 2013, we have what was called Operation Green Fence, which was China for the first time starting to put up a warning signal. And what they did was they introduced a 5% contamination limit. So like I said, we have our single stream system where we're sorting materials. We're putting all, paper, plastic, glass into the bin. We sort them out at a material recovery facility. And when we bail and send materials off to get remade, our processors understand that there's sometimes room for error. So we're sending a bale to 95% paper with about 5% room for error just because of the mixed recycling system. So they told us we have to hit 5% contamination in our bales. So that required more intense sorting at the facilities. And as I mentioned earlier, we've had a change in the waste stream, which has made recycling more confusing for consumers. So we're seeing an increase in the wrong items in the bin. So that was the first kind of warning sign, like I said. And then there was a sudden shift that was announced in 2017, a program called a policy called the National Sort. It went into effect sharply in 2018, and it introduced a 0.5% contamination limit, so reducing our threshold for error by a factor of 10, and also an outright ban of 24 materials, mostly in the paper and plastic area. So this has really been a large shift in the recycling world with the availability of markets. Thanks, sir. So as I mentioned, our waste stream has changed. Here's some images, just of some examples of things that we're seeing more often that didn't exist when recycling programs started. So in the middle there is an image of a soy milk container. That's the packaging. It's called Tetra Pak. So what it is it's paper that's lined with plastic. There's also a really thin aluminum layering in there, and then there's a plastic top that's actually different plastic resin than the plastic that lines the paper. So when we're sorting these materials, which bale does this go into? Does it go into the aluminum bale? Does it go into the paper bale? This item is not accepted in the recycling and goes into the garbage just because it is a layered material, too difficult to sort, and with those strict contamination thresholds, that's an area where we can't accept air in recycling. Some other images are
the new flex pouch, which we see increasingly in packaging. So it's a flexible plastic pouch that is really difficult to sort correctly because it kind of behaves like paper in the sorting process. So it ends up being sorted incorrectly and counts as contamination. We also have seen a change in the way we consume materials, which affects disposal, which is we've seen a rise in e-commerce, the rise of Amazon. So we're seeing a rise in cardboard, which is an accepted recycling material, but the cardboard is coming in different shapes, which also affects the sorting. So the next slide, please.
Thank you, Sarah. I asked her to do a few extra slides because I could preach on this stuff. I love recycling. I love what we do. And Jeff, thanks for the intro. And Sarah, great job being concise. This right here is a few pictures. We thought it would be appropriate to talk to you guys about an audit that we did in October of 2018. We knew we had to respond to what's happening on a global market like we've never had before. Typically, what we would do is we would collect it, we would sort it, and then we would sell it. And it was no problem. Everything worked. The system sounded good, and that's why California marched forward in the progressive way to set goals at 55% diversion, 75% diversion. But now everything's been interrupted. And like Jeff stated in his introduction, it's a paradigm shift. We used to be able to, just like oil, barrels of oil, it would go up and down, right? We see it at the pump every day. The same thing happened with the commodities we collected at the curb. Aluminum up and down, paper up and down. As a company, we absorbed all those costs. We knew it was just part of doing business, and it was the right thing to do. But now, packaging has changed. The commodity value is dipping. China's economy is sinking. Wow, it's a new era, really, for what we need to do. So Sarah said, we need to do an audit. I said, yes, ma'am. So we grabbed a lot of material out of our trucks. Essentially, it was dumped at our facility. We grabbed it with one of our loaders and we put it on a conveyor belt. That conveyor belt was going about this fast. That's what it takes to sort out all of these materials. If you can imagine, right, when you're making cookies at home, it's easy. You grab your chocolate chips, you grab your flour, you grab your sugar, and then you put it in the bowl, and what do you do next? Mix it up. And that's exactly what our garbage trucks do, or our recycle trucks. We all put it in carts, and then we put it in the truck, it gets all mashed up, and now our job is to try to figure out how to pull it apart. And if some of us aren't doing the right thing, or we make a few mistakes, or we think we're doing the right thing, would you go to the next slide? Like pillows. When has that ever been accepted? Or Fruit Loops? I don't know. I don't think it has, but those were in our curbside collection vehicles. That was in one of the carts with the yellow lid that I think we're picking up tomorrow at my house down the street. Unbelievable. Next slide, please. A few other items. Right, we have thrift stores for these items, but they felt if they put it in the cart, it would end up somewhere that it could be used. So what this tells me, not that people are breaking the rules, not that they're intentionally trying to ruin things, they really want to do the right thing. They want to reduce, they want to reuse, they want to recycle. Unfortunately, the system for curbside collection has its limitations. And we'll talk at the very end about really what is accepted, and that's what we need to work together as a community and as a team, really. I mean, Guitar Hero, I'm sure maybe you could sell that on one of our little Facebook social buy-sell trades. The flowers, I could take them to my grandma, I don't know, the pitcher, my office, but not in the curbside bin. So those are just a few items. If you can go to the next slide, please, because it's going to take us working together, because right now, in 1 ton of the material, so that's 2,000 pounds, we have roughly 540 pounds of contaminants that, one, we can't sort out, or it's just plain the wrong thing, like the pillow or the Fruit Loops. And right now, our buyers, which, yeah, we still sell to China, we're trying to sell domestic, we're trying to sell to Vietnam and Indonesia, they all expect the same thing, 10 pounds of contaminants. So that's our goal right here, is that we need to be at 0.5% or 10 pounds for every 2,000 pounds, not 27%, which 27% came right out of an audit in November of 2018. We are going to plan an audit this April, and it's got Earth Day coming up, April 22nd. Also, Jeff and I, we're going down to Pittsburgh, California tomorrow to meet with all of the other MRF facilities across California to talk about how do we achieve these goals and work with our community so that this change is understood. So we're going to work together with that. Let me go to the next slide, please. And 2 more buttons. There we go. So the tension is increasing around the pressure to recycle more in spite of global market constriction. 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3, we met with CalRecycle to discuss diversion, and annually we have a teleconference. And CalRecycle is the body of the state that has been asked to follow these guidelines set by the legislature. So when we met with them, we talked about the markets, and of course they were interested on what our challenges were, but they said that nothing's changing. If you do not meet these goals, you will be fined. You will go under a review process where you have to file reports. You're going to have to do more things, which frankly as an operator, that just slows me down and keeps me from achieving some of these goals. But we know that we need to work together to achieve those. And then the changing waste stream really magnifies things. My wife, for example, she's married to me, and I do this for a living, yet she makes a mistake. So it's not easy. I mean, it's confusing for all of us. And when we put the cart at your house, we said, when in doubt, recycle it. When in doubt, put it in the cart. Oh man, we're going to find a way to recycle it. We're going to do everything we can. We're never receiving the amount of feedback. There was nothing happening from China back to the U.S. It was all okay for the things that we mentioned. But it's confusing. So we just need to regroup and hopefully go through this kind of relaunching of what curbside recycling is and how we can be more successful. Go to the next slide. So what you can expect is a focus on both quality and diversion. Remember we had mentioned quantity was goal number 1 when we launched the curbside recycling. Now it's about quality and diversion. So recycling, food waste, I believe just on the 15th of March, we sent out all the service guides to all the residents here in Cameron Park, so hopefully you received those in the mail. But that far right service guide, that's new, that's updated, that's designed. We're really trying to make it simple, straightforward, and if you do want to know more, we encourage that. Just when in doubt, don't put it in the recycle bin. When in doubt, find out. When in doubt, download our app. Plug in whatever you have in your kitchen and see if you can figure out if it can go in your bin. It's really helpful on many fronts. Sarah has been extremely helpful and available to many folks who are extremely interested. Some people actually ask how they can help. So hopefully this is just one tool of many as we do more outreach in the coming year and years to come so that we can achieve 75% diversion. I believe Cameron Park has always come together to participate. I mean, everybody has a card and everybody puts it out. I mean, there's a great participation rate here in Cameron Park. So I think if we all work together, I think we can overcome these challenges. It's just a new way of doing it. So as we get more and more into this, I know Jeff and I talked, and we'd like to invite any of the directors, if you would like, to get on one of our route trucks on the service day in your area here and see what the process is like to collect the cart. See how many carts we pick up in a day, or if you have a half an hour, we can drop you off, jump in the truck. Pretty amazing. Even stepping out, lifting the lid, looking inside some of the carts. Or if you want to get on the truck right before you come up to our facility up in Placerville and see how it's dumped onto the ground. Maybe you guys want to have a tour of Cal Waste where all the material gets sorted. That's down in Galt. I don't think we're going to make a trip to China, but let's just start there, and please come out and do that. I think our drivers are great, and they'll tell you what they're noticing, and having you guys there would really be helpful. So thank you for your time. We'd like to answer any questions and be here as a resource.
Thank you. Service Board. Director?
I want to go on the tour. Who do I talk to?
Great. We'll email Jill all the information, and we'll make sure we schedule that one-on-one based on your schedule. So Jeff, and then Ross right behind Jeff, he's our operations manager. So between one of them, we'll be able to have a dialogue. I don't know if you have more details, but...
No, all I want to say is our drivers would be thrilled to have the company.
Yeah.
You want to ride in the truck and go through your own neighborhoods or see the area where we service, so we're very happy to accommodate that. And there are a variety of ways we can do that for you, and work with your schedules as well.
Is there anybody, any other director, have questions right now?
I did have a question, and I don't mean this to be rude, but all the drivers are insane. I mean, about 6 months ago, they came down, and that thing that they grabbed hands with, they lifted it up and whoo, scan and all. And that was the last I saw it. I had to wait till we get it again. But anything. So they stopped and say, oops, excuse me, or anything. They're gone.
We occasionally have a cart go into the hopper and it's trapped. It does happen from time to time. There was a time when we told the drivers you can actually get down in there and retrieve that cart, but we don't find that the safest thing to do, and so we'd rather replace your cart.
I don't think I'd like to see a driver doing that. No.
Director Marston, do you have, Director Carlson? Just thank you, it's very informative, and I hope to find time, I'm scheduled to go and go out there and see it. I'd love to see a facility as well, so let's see if we can figure that out. Thank you. Director Stevigan.
So, it looks like there's, quite a bit of work that you guys need to do. What type of planning do you have to meet these goals of reducing contamination and meeting the diversion, 35% diversion?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm proud to say that other auto disposal, we have not thrown any recycling away. In Sacramento County, some of the companies down there have asked for permission and not done everything they could to sort out the material and make sure that it's marketable. We have not done that once. And so what we're doing right now is working with our processors. What they've had to do is add almost twice as many staff. They've had to slow down their belts and also invest in infrastructure, things like optical sorting that just is more accurate. And so those are some of the things on kind of the back end. On the front end, I know that with our new residential service guide, as well as looking at ways to get into some of our publications, I believe in Cameron Park Life, we're going to insert on what's happening in recycling. It's about I think a 6-page or 4-page kind of magazine type thing or newspaper type thing that folks will be able to read. Sarah will also have an article in there. And then we're looking at ways, we believe that one of the best ways to communicate with our customers is through the cart, frankly. A lot of mail does end up just right in the cart. So we're going to look at how we can advertise on that lid. Use it so every time you go out to your cart, you are reminded. We're also working on some magnets that can go on your fridge. Our annual mailers come out, so just a nice fresh reminder. And like Jeff said, rotary chambers, everything else. And we're always open to ideas, and I think that's part of our time here with you is if you have something now or you have ideas later, we're open because this is really new. And so hopefully that answers, or Jeff has any more thoughts.
No, really, just education is the key, and understanding that what really hits home as a part of this paradigm shift is what we own. Is that for a very long time, we've said, if you're not sure, throw it in the recycle cart, because we'll sort it. And that's what we have to move away from now, and be specific, as we're trying to do here, and now say, this is what's going to be acceptable. Because of what's occurred now in China, and if you can imagine going from, if any of you've ever worked in a production or a distribution facility and had to worry about shrink, think about going from a 5% acceptable rate of throwing things away to a 0.5. That's a tremendous shift. And so this is what we're all confronted with. And so to answer your question, really it starts with education and this paradigm shift where instead of saying, if you're not sure, throw it in the yellow cart, in the yellow lidded cart, this is what we need in the cart now. And this is going to be a process. It's going to take a while. And yet next year, we're expected by the state to be at 75%.
So I have a question. What diversion are we at right now with our percentage?
We will be given an annual presentation. You know what, we just sent that to Jill like a week or two ago. What is it?
I gave it to the resident.
Well, you have April 2nd, this is going to tell us.
I'll know that by April 2nd, for sure, specifically here, and I apologize, we have a variety of jurisdictions, and I don't want to talk out my ball cap. I'd rather-
Yeah, no, that's fine. And then, do you have some of these flyers here tonight for everybody? Okay, great. I didn't get one at my home, but everybody did.
It's probably,
Yeah. So, I think from an education standpoint, that we should help out. You know, we have a newsletter, we have a website, you know, just like coming to these meetings, we need to be able to publicize. And I think the thing that we need to do is talk about the yes and the no. The no is even more important, I think, because people usually yes for everything. They know, because I found this out that styrofoam is recyclable anymore. And I went home and I just that one comment, I went to my husband, this cannot be recycled. Oh, why did we do that? And so we're not doing that, but what else is it that we're doing? So we really think that we can help with that.
Styrofoam is a great example of a commodity that at a point in time was actually being recycled here in California. And the end market and the process and all those business-related things didn't work, and it's now trash. And so we have to communicate that. We haven't said, hey, you can't take styrofoam anymore, but that's what we're confronting with having to do now.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to collaborate like, in any sort of way. So these are the programs that I'm working on.
Jill will be a perfect person to talk to.
so we've already done this, actually, or a lot of it. Sarah's actually going to be the guest columnist and then it's general manager.
Right.
The single one next month. Also, we've updated our website with all of this information and have flyers out, so, you know.
So let's put something in the newsletter every month.
Yeah.
An item that is not recyclable anymore. And next month is another one. Okay,
Thank you, Margaret.
thank you for coming. We appreciate your time and the education.
Our pleasure, anytime.
Oh,
Take us up on those right ones.
Oh, excuse me, I wait a minute, you're not off the hook yet. Question from the audience, I forgot. Who would like to ask a question?
Oh,
And
are these new? Are these just coming out? Because I had never seen them before. These would have been very, very helpful to have. Like the same thing that Director Moore was saying, probably styrene. I've been throwing that stuff in the peanuts and all the packing material for years. I've been throwing it in there, assuming, and then I just heard at a committee meeting a few weeks ago that, oh, that's not, you know, so I'm glad to hear that you're going to take a kind of a multifaceted approach to it, because people have to hear stuff, you know, time and time again in order before it becomes ingrained and so forth. And the other thing is, you know, different methods of reaching out is going to reach different audiences and so forth. You know, you can see by coming here and talking to us, you reach a vast, you know, majority of probably five, other than board members also. So no, I mean that's a good plan that you have to cast a broad net again and again and again, and just that general principle that you're talking about now. When in doubt, throw it out. Don't recycle. Because I consider myself a great recycler. I used to pull stuff out of the trash in the kitchen all the time. No, this can be recycled, you know, and put it in the thing now. Well, she was probably right. You know, it probably could have been recycled and so forth. But, you know, now I've got.
I'd be happy to speak to the flyers that you have specifically. So like we said, there's multiple fronts for recycling. So the flyers you have are specific to our commercial recycling program. So the recycling information is still accurate for your home. But if you'll look, you also have a food waste collection flyer, which is for commercial businesses.
Okay, I wondered about that, the difference between food waste and garbage.
Exactly, yeah. So for residential customers, if you're not composting in your backyard, then your food waste goes in your garbage. But for commercial businesses over a certain size, we have a food waste program that's available. And when I'm setting folks up, commercial businesses, for their food waste collection, I'm also doing some outreach around recycling and what goes in the garbage. That's why there's 3 posters. And then on the back, there's also the residential service guide, which is for residents specifically. And it's on the back of the calendar that's mailed out.
part of that going to be at source being like grocery stores, places where these things originate? Is that part of the plan too? I'm sure forklift as part of the design markers would be very interested in partnering with that kind of thing. So you're getting the source of where people can take home, so they get where they buy it, maybe mailboxes, gang mailboxes with people that are congregating regularly, and know what kind of things you're already thinking about how you communicate that.
Yeah, I know just industry-wide, there's some work on the packaging front of getting proper labels, because right now, the recycling sign on the package, or the package has a nice, like, eco-friendly or green message on it, it's very misleading. So really the best place to find accurate information about what goes in your bin is from the processor or the collector, which is us. So that is, working with the packagers, that's, a little bit beyond El Dorado County, but, working with the Nugget or, working with some.
Yeah, I'm not talking about packaging itself, but places where you buy it.
Messaging.
Yeah, messaging on the doors or on the bags, so people when you take groceries home, just where there's a consistent message where we're not making it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, we're going to the El Dorado County Chamber of Business Showcase this Friday. I know we go to the 4th of July, Summer Spectacular, so we do a lot of that, but I like your idea of, like, grocery congregating.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
And you're right about Forklift and Nugget. They've been real leaders in recycling and also with food waste recycling. They've really been at the front
Maybe
end.
Wilton, because Portland is kind of a unicorn in their family. Maybe that'd be a place you could even pioneer some of that.
Yeah, they were one of the first adopters of our food waste program, so that was really great. Do you have another question over here?
Yeah, do you think this is going to affect the rates maybe in the future too as well with this paradigm shift?
Yes, that's why we're here.
Okay.
Our business model is upside down when it comes to recycling, and this is the first step in the conversation that will include a conversation about rates. Let me be completely transparent about that. I appreciate you asking the question. And I would certainly invite you to come back in April. We'll be back again, and we'll be fully able to inform about what that impact could be. Thanks for asking.
Thank you. Is there any other questions from the community? Carol? Anybody? Great. Well, thank you so much for your participation. We appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to go ahead and move on to the approval of the consent agenda. Is there any items that need to be approved or pulled at this time?
We have a report that, questions that I can ask them.
I apologize. I was prepared to report back to the board tonight for that, but we can certainly work with you on that. I apologize.
Yeah, it's mainly checking on the credit card rates that we pay for our transactions.
Okay.
That's really the main concern.
We'll get back to you.
Okay.
I have two items being pulled, number 8 and number 9.
Oh, yes, I have that next. Request those as well. So, 8, 9.
8 and 9.
Yes.
So let's, number 8 and 9. Anything else? And just have approval for the consent agenda with item 8 and 9 removed, or do you already have?
No, I'll move to approve with the exception of pulling 8 and 9. Move to approve the conformity agenda, or consent agenda.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. So we will now move to open forum for any members of the public may speak on any item not on the agenda that falls within the jurisdiction of the board of directors. Comment during the open forum is limited to 4 minutes per person. Public testimony will be received on each agenda item as it is called. Is there anybody who would like to speak in open forum at this time?
Good evening. There are several things I'd like to bring up that aren't on the agenda. But I would like to say thank you to Director, to the Board President Moore and Chairman Brisbane I asked about the grants, and they graciously put that on the agenda. Thank you. I would like to point some things out, though, just in general. This board, and I know that it may not be fair, but you are going to be charged with fiscal responsibility and being more fiscally responsible than past boards have been. I think we're more than aware now that we have a structural deficit, and the fire department's returned money, Cal Fire's returned money to us, but it's still not enough. We are falling short. I don't know that this board wants to go ahead and continue taking money out of our one-time fund, but that will be depleted eventually. And I'm hoping that this board will take fiscal responsibility seriously. I know that this center is underutilized, and I can tell you right now, everybody I've talked to, whether it's in Placerville or anywhere else that comes to the center, they just say, you are so lucky to have such a beautiful, wonderful center. Why isn't it being used? I can't answer that question. Certainly I and others have made suggestions that in the past other administrations didn't want to take up. I've got an idea for revenue that might work. It was discussed at one time of bringing a church service here on Sundays. I mean, that's something that would be a weekly event. I know for a fact that at Folsom Middle School, Bayshore, a congregation meets every Sunday. And I don't know if they have access to the cafeteria, but if they don't have a social hall in. And I suggested at one point that we just try to find something for a social hall, and then it was discussed, they're non-denominational evangelical churches that are looking for a place. Well, I mean, you've got the stage, you've got this center, you've got the kitchen. I mean, it would be perfect. And this was introduced years ago. It was discussed years ago, and it just fell by the wayside. Now, I stopped and think about what would our financial condition be if, for the past 4 years, we had had somebody renting this facility, this hall, every Sunday. And Sunday is not a thing that conflicts very much, with the exception of the quilt show. I mean, the quilt show is the only thing that I know of that goes on here on Sundays. Even the bridal fair, parking would be a problem, but that I don't think is in here. I think that's in the gymnasium, typically. Now, I may be wrong, I don't know. But that is an idea. The other things we're discussing, and again, there's been no follow-up, and this board is probably unfairly going to have its feet held to the fire because of past boards and administrations. But I mean, at one time I suggested, if you want to get this place rented, go out to the business community, bring business owners and managers in. If we have a concert, go to folks and invite the manager, give them a couple of free tickets. I'm gonna, go to a garage and give somebody a couple of free tickets if you do a Patsy Cline. Why not? I mean, they're going to see it, and they're going to be able to talk, and at that point, they can be corralled and spoken to. That, we do rent this place as well as other places. You might want to take a look at the swimming pool. You might want to look at the lake for a picnic, for a company picnic, or any kind of those events. And again, people used to come in and bring idea after idea after idea. I have emails that I've gone back from 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, with any number of ideas that haven't been acted on. And again, I'm saying, right from the wrong way, I think this board's going to be held more to fiscal responsibility than the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hillhoff. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in open forum? Okay. Seeing none, then we will bring it back to general business, and we will do receive and file status of district efforts to seek and secure grant number 14.
So, anyway, yes, we are providing an update on our activities to seek and secure grants. Thank you, Mr. Hillhoff, for suggesting that we get this on the agenda. Probably most importantly, we have worked with Jed, who's the lead, on this grant application that we have become compliant in our community and get the word out, and so that would be a great thing. Proposition 68, competitive grants are going to be due in August. Also, the district will get a per capita allocation based on our population. And what that means is because the voters have approved Proposition 68, there will be funding for capital investments in our park system coming to the district. And so there will be more on that. The Parks and Rec Committee is going to work on a process by which we will identify grants, working with all of our different community groups, so that we can put in applications for that. Also, we have a park master plan that was done in 2015 that we need to dust off and progress. Our Solar Energy Ad Hoc Committee is seeking grants, and also Mark First followed up with me from our conversation last month, and he's sending some information about solar grants as well. So I know it's always on our mind. We have secured some very small recreation grants, but we were successful in a senior grant, also some scholarship money. So there's all those things. And there is an interest in putting in the budget for next year a grant writer. And so we're going to go ahead and put that in the budget, and we'll have the board consider that and debate that in this upcoming cycle. So I will say that grants are one-time money for special projects. They won't necessarily help us align our operational costs, but if we got a grant to say refurbish a ball field or refurbish a restroom, that means that we wouldn't have to necessarily use our fund balance to do that. We could use the grant. So it will help us, but it's one-time money, not necessarily supporting our operations. With that, I can take any questions.
Does the board have any questions right now? So, Joe, would like to speak to this topic?
I would, thank you.
And again, thank you for bringing this to on the agenda. Part of what I'd like to see, and thank you for that update, John and Richmond. If we're going to get a grant writer, obviously, in order for them to be worth their weight, they're going to have to be really, really working diligently to bring grants in, more so than what's been identified. And this is a very good start, and I appreciate that. But in my email, there were several things that I brought, and I'd like to express them now to the board. First of all, I would like to know which grants board members are directed to general manager and staff to obtain. I'd also like to know who will write, research, and submit grants and monitor the CSD's progress in obtaining grant money. Now, I believe it's important that the public be informed of the fiscal state of the CSD and any efforts to improve said state. To this end, I would like to suggest that a mechanism for monitoring this project be discussed and then established no later than June of this year. The mechanism can be a simple spreadsheet that details what grants are being pursued, the date the grant was submitted, and a monthly update on the status of each grant that is being pursued, and any final resolution of each grant application. This mechanism needs to be available to the public so that the public can assess the progress staff is making and of the board in supervising this project. Again, the sins of past administrations and boards are being visited on you, at least by me. That's just the way it is. I've been coming to these long enough, and I've seen these things, and again, I've spoken enough. I actually worked with Joe's predecessor and on 2 months in a row on how to market our facilities. I provided that. It was a two-page overview with my explanations, and a year later, I was asked about it, and when the staff was asked about it, none of them could find those suggestions. I know exactly where they went. They went into recycling. Yeah, they went straight into El Dorado Waste Recycling, and they're in China now. So again, maybe they're back. Maybe I don't know. Could have come back. But again, as I'm saying, if this is, and again, I understand this board is new, and I want to give this board every chance and all the support that I can. But again, the sins of past boards. We've been burned so many times, we've heard so many wonderful things that are going to happen, and so many proactive things that are going to happen, and they just fall by the wayside. But so many people have brought so many great ideas, and it's like, well, let's look into this, and then nothing happens. So because I am vested in Cannon Park by being a property owner, the one thing, and I've always said this, you know, if I don't have a vested interest, if you take me off the tax list of Cannon Park, or buy me out, you'll never see me again. So I will be coming back eventually to find out what's going on and to try to kind of be a pro. And I'm going to try to be proactive, and anything that I can do to assist and help, I'm willing to do. But again, this board, this administration, I think has to turn the corner on this, and it has to be something that's done that is proactive and that is going to be taking the lead in you're right, General Manager. Any penny that we don't have to spend out of our general fund is money that we've got more for in our general fund. And again, like I'm saying, if we had this place running out to the church for the last 4 years, every one of those Sundays would have been money in that we would be taking in, and we would have to be spending on out of our general fund. So again, I'm being attentive occasionally. I want to see things hopefully being as transparent as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on this topic, or if not, we'll go back to the board, and I wanted to address a couple things that Gerald mentioned. I think it's a great idea to have a spreadsheet and to continue conversations back to the community about the grants and where they're going. And Gerald, you had asked what the board has brought up, asked the staff, and that's Prop 68 for sure, and they have been very diligent, and Vicki can actually speak a little bit more. We went to a seminar, right, on Prop 68.
Oh, we did it in Parks and Rec Committee review
and conversation. Okay. And then the solar grant, so those are the two that we're focusing right now. I think what's really important about a grant writer is that they actually then go and do research too. There's a lot of grants out there that you have to dig into and really research and find out when they're up, when they're coming, what is it that we apply for. So that's a lot of work, but if anybody in the community actually does that too and finds these grants, send them our way, because that's another way that we know to apply for that. So that's all great. Is there any other comments on the board?
Just, this is very exciting. I'll be talking in my reviews with the fire committee, Parks and Rec, about a couple of grants we know we're already working on. But you just have to have someone who's going out to the Parks and Rec state website, list all the grants that are available in Parks and Rec. And so it just really is a matter of how much does the district want to invest in someone who will actually do that for us. I think it's very, very important. There's so much money out there that you have to ask for it. And to your point, someone who knows to go special, like all the jobs that we do in our life.
Right.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Lola.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll go ahead and move on to the item from the consent agenda, and that is number 8.
So this is asking for the board's consideration of a resolution directing the preparation of the engineer's report for the continuing the annual assessments for the LLADs, or Lighting and Landscape District. This is kind of our kickoff resolution to go ahead and start this process to take a look at all of our LLADs. What did we spend last year? What are we going to spend this year? What were our actual expenditures? Get this budget together, and then the tax assessment has been assessed on that. So this is the kickoff effort to get SEI to start working. And we're asking for your approval.
So we do this once a year. This is our yearly